Hi. Hi, welcome to A Moment in Time with George Reister. Let's get a few things out of the way first. Let's talk about you making sure you share the podcast, share the comments that you have and that you'll make, and also be a participant. Please, this is going to be a conversation where I need some feedback so we can start some dialogue about the topic that we're going to discuss, which I'm going to tell you about in a second. Next, make sure you go to my website, georgefreister.com. You find a wealth of information, free resources that will bless you and give you an opportunity to keep in touch with me a little bit more and find out more about me. Look on my social media sites at Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Make sure you join into the tribe, into the family, so that we all can connect and share our input, because this is a community of sharing, sharing and caring. And remember, it's a free space, so let's make sure that we treat each other in the manner that we like to be treated. Let's stay positive. Sometimes we need a little bit of correction or encouragement. We also do that. But make sure we come with an open mind, open heart, and a willing source of information and sharing with one another. Okay, our topic for today. I had a conversation with some people, and we were talking about what we allow kids to decide and what we don't allow them to decide. And basically, we're talking about how to manage children's lives and make sure we get them on the right path to make positive and good decisions. So here's how the conversation started. One person said, "Hey, listen, it's my kids' life. I allow them to make decisions, and they have to learn how to live with those decisions." I said, "Huh, interesting point." Some of that I agree with. Now, that I agree with it to the degree of that it depends on the age and the how big the decision is that they're making. Because from my perspective, I will not allow a child to make a critical decision that's going to hurt him or herself, and I know better, and I have the means to prevent it, make it easier for them to navigate through it, because they think they know it all, but they really don't. They've lived a short amount of time. I've lived 30, 40, 50, 60 years longer than you, and I'm not going to let you make a decision because it's easier for me not to say no or to say yes rather than to say no. That's not happening because it's going to impact them in their future going forward. Now, some would disagree with that. They say, well, we have to let kids, make their own mind up, and whatever choices they make, they live with. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that in my house. I'll allow you to make a decision as long as you make the right decision when you're in this house. Because I know I've lived longer, I have more experience. And that brings us to another point. When you communicate with your children, if you communicate with them early on and develop a relationship, they will trust your opinion and the decisions that you make. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't have their own mind and they won't come up with some conclusions for themselves. But when you get to the point where you have to decide yay or nay to the choice that they might want to say yay about, and you say nay, they may not like it, but they'll trust it. So the lesson in that is start communicating with your children early. Start communicating them with in a way that they feel like it's a conversation, it's a free space, it's a loving space. That they have an opinion and they can voice that opinion as long as they voice it appropriately, age appropriately. And then as they get older, they'll know that you have their best interest at heart. And that was one of the things that I did early on with my children. I gave them free reign for us to have conversations, free space, as long as they did it in a respectful manner. And I showed them the same respect, and I held nothing against them when I allowed them to speak freely. And that just opened up a different dynamic in our relationship. I'll give you an example. My son was recruited in football by a lot of schools. I can't even count the number of schools that he was recruited by. But we narrowed it down to 5 schools. And so we started going on our recruiting trips. And we ended up on our very last trip, which was strategically planned by the university. And since we're talking about the university, it's the University of Oregon. Go Ducks! Love those Ducks! Okay, so we get to the school. We go through the same preliminaries and all of the, visitations and the academic parts, and we got to the end, and so the coaches went into a room. I won't spoil their recruiting trips for any other kids. I won't tell you the whole dynamics of what we went through. But here's the bottom line. After the trip was over, my wife and I, we thought about it. We were like, wow, this is the place he should go. But he had decided that it was going to be 2 other schools. We just basically went on that trip because it was a trip that was available, and we wanted to see what it was all about, just so we wouldn't, leave any stones unturned. So my wife and I discussed it, and we said, boy, if he doesn't make the right choice, we're going to have to make it for him, no matter how hard this is going to be. And that was a hard choice decision to make for us because we wanted this decision to be his. So we were on the plane ride back home, and we started a conversation, and he said to us, wow, man, I think this is a place for me to go to school. We both looked at each other and laughed. We're like, oh, thank God he made that decision, because we didn't want to have to tell him that we thought the same thing, and, let's choose this school versus the other 2 schools that you were really considering. But that would have been a hard choice for us, but we would have had to make that choice. And because we had developed a relationship with him of trust, communication, and love, he would have agreed with our decision. But thank God we had done the right thing in our upbringing of him, and he made his own decision, and it ended up being the best choice for him overall, as it played out over time with his career and everything that happened to him. So I'm going to encourage you, don't be afraid to step in and help your children make choices concerning their life, because you have more life experience than they do. Communicate with them. They'll love you for it. They will appreciate you for it in the long run, in spite of what it might seem like in the moment. So that's our conversation for the day. But let me share one other thing with you. I won't say I'll share this every time we come onto the podcast, but today I'm going to share 10 of my daily affirmations that I make pertaining to my life. And I suggest that you develop your own affirmations. And just to make sure I didn't forget them, so I wrote them down just to, even though I memorized most of them, but I wrote them down so I can go through them quickly every day. And it takes a very limited amount of time to go through them. But it just starts my day off in the right way. So 1 through 10, this is my first 10. Today, I choose to live in the present moment. I choose to live in the here and now. I choose to live today as if it were my last day, as if it were the last day of my life. I will not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about its own self. I can do it. I know I can do it. Every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. With God, all things are possible. I walk by faith and not by sight. The just shall live by faith. Those are my first 10 affirmations. And if you stick around and come back to the next podcast, who knows? You may get the second 10. And we'll do it until we get to the 100, my 100. But I'm going to encourage you to develop your own 100, because you'll start seeing things move in your life. I believe in speaking into my own life, in the things that I want. And I encourage you to do the same. So remember, share, comment, and please go to my social media sites, my website. Get all the free things I'm going to give you on the website, so you may as well go to it. That's my southern dialect coming out. It may as well, you know. We have all these colloquialisms that we use in the South that, you know, some of the people who are more grammatically correct than Southern people, you know, like to criticize us for. But it's all in love. It's all fun. I enjoy every moment in spending time with you. Remember, once again, George Reister, A Moment in Time. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time. Have a great and blessed rest of your day. Bye.